especially, what time of year is this for everybody? What is the most, other than going your club visits, what are you spending time on? Okay. We're talking about the contest. One thing that makes a good contest is the contestant, of course, but it's the judging is the most important thing of the contest because you want to have a fair contest. So go over a fair contest, you're the judge, chief judge. And any questions if we have time? So what is the purpose of a contest in Toastmasters?
To win.
So basically, it's for the speakers, your members to gain their speaking experience outside the club. It's also a way to show, Toastmasters to show, we're not all just about getting together for Toastmasters. We're a competitive area. And the thing, and the most important thing is when you have clubs, contests that you invite to the public, this is a great way for you to get new membership. Because people see that, hey, this is a whole different part about Toastmasters, and people will really want to come to your club. And it's important that the contests are judged in a fair way. That's one of the things I'm saying is that judging is one of the most important part, is because how many people have gone to a speech contest and the person who won, it's like, how in the hell did that person win? And believe me, I've had that question came to me so many times throughout my career in Toastmasters. It's just like, were we at the same contest? This is really one of the big things. And the way you can do that is you have to get judging, that when they're judging, they have to know what they're doing, know the rules, and know why they're doing it. They're not here to evaluate. They're like, hey, Patrice, I want her to win, so she's my friend. No, you're picking the person who's doing the best for that contest at that time. So when you're the judge, you're basically what you're doing is like a statement. You're providing the contestant a fair playing field for their speech. No matter if the person is in your club, you know them through the district or whatever, or they're a friend of yours, what you're doing is you're judging that contestant for this speech that they're giving right now and nothing else in the past. Basically, another thing is that you have, like I said, a lot of us are friends. You know, we always want our friends to do well. But the thing about it is that you have to put all this aside when you're a judge and vote for who's doing the best at the time. And the big thing is, like I said earlier, how many people that had come up to me and go, were we at the same contest? The audience really needs to have a fair contest, and that is all done by judging. And basically, when you're a judge, make a personal commitment to step outside your comfort zone, to listen and make sure you're you're picking the best contestant to win. Coming back to this, at the contest level, we're not evaluating the person giving the speech. We are picking the winner. We don't care about, you know, John, we could do this and get his speech a little better, but no, we're not doing that this time. We're just looking at this speech and how we're looking at the part going forward. And then afterwards, you should not provide feedback to the contestant. But one of the things about it is, especially at the club level, you want your person at the club level to do well, where you can provide feedback to them. At an area contest, you can, but it's up to you. But you should not tell the person that you go up to and that you're judging what they did. Just give them pointers and that maybe improvement. But you should not really, during the contested contest, you do not do this and wait until after it's over. Questions on that one? Because I know we had this, we brought this up at one of the last division contests, and there was quite a little heated discussion around that, so I just want to make sure people are aware of that. And this is a big thing. Do not discuss the results with anybody. I was judging one of the district contests. This was many years ago, and there was another judge who was in front of me. And then when it came time for picking the winner of the judges, all of a sudden the person would go, "Hey, I got that one right." But he picked that person, number 3. Oh, I didn't get this person number 2, but I got the first one. I picked that, you know. So he was saying this out loud, in front of everybody, and I'm sitting there going, keep quiet, you're not supposed to let people know what you're doing. Then another thing is that if your ballot, throw away the top portion of your ballot, put it in your pocket, in your purse, and throw it away. Don't throw it away at the venue, throw it away sometime later. Good judges are, you want to be accurate, you be fair, trustworthy, knowledgeable, and a good listener. It's kind of almost like a Girl Scout motto. Let's do it that way. What you're saying is that listen, make sure you're picking the best person to win. The barriers to subjectivities, this is what I would bring up is, especially when you're at a district contest, you got 10 speeches are going through. Speaking order can put a very big thing into the judge's mind, because A, you remember the first speaker, and you remember the last speaker. The people in between can get kind of jumbled around. It's like a baseball game. I've said this many times. We're there for the first pitch to get out there, you can't wait for it, and then at the ninth inning, geez, you can't wait for that last pitch to come. Champion of the underdog. We always like to see the person that he tries so hard, you know, and never does it, but we should really just push him through one time. No, that's not, it's not fair to him because you're pushing them on, and it's not fair for the person who actually should be the winner of the thing. The halo effect would be, you have Brian over here. Everybody loves Brian. He can do no wrong. You have Larry, no one likes him. So. Second time around, this guy won last year, so why do we need to win again? Club norms, well, Bill is our president, and so we always let them advance. And personal prejudice, you always want to make sure, put all your personal prejudice, religious preferences at the side for the contest. And but the biggest thing is you're unfamiliar with this. I put one of these on everybody's table. There should be a couple of them. I don't know if you had a chance to pass them around. So I just kind of want to go through this really quick. So when you look at the humorous ballot, then we're doing it easy this time because we're only going to have one contest that you guys have to go through, and you don't have to go through two right now. When you look at the ballot, there's two sides of the ballot. On the back side, it has the judges' criteria. It will be telling you what you're judging on, and very important on the bottom, the first thing you do whenever you're a judge is you review the judge's code of ethics. Because this is telling you that you're going to be fair, you're going to be open, and you're going to give a good contest. Then you have the form here. One of the first things you do when you're at the contest, when you're in the judge's briefing, the first thing the chief judge is going to say, sign your form and print it. If you don't sign your form or print it, your ballot is ineligible and we'll throw it out. And if there's more than 3 people competing, you have to do this your first, second, and third. If you do not if there's 3 or 4 people competing and you only fill out first place, your ballot will be discarded. It will not be used. So make sure you fill it out and just have it. And first thing is to sign it. And when you look at this, especially for the humorous contest, we're going to be judging on content is 55% of what the speech value should be made up with. So this is where you're going to put the most of your points in on selecting the winner. Next is delivery, that's 30%, and then language is 15%. So we have this thing here where everyone, how many people have never filled out a ballot in their judge's speech contest? No, they're very easy. No, they're very easy. One of the things about it is that, like I say, if you're ever going to be asked to be a judge, you review the information. And one thing I should say that if you have any questions about where to get the content, it's all free at Toastmasters International website. I did finally get a printed copy of the contest kit, but other than that, I'll just go down out there and download the free information, which is you get the basically rule book. And the rule book here is the rule book that I use for questions. And believe me, I probably, for each contestant, I'll probably, through area governors, which My name is in the directory. You can contact me at anytime you want. I will get back to you with any questions you have. If I do not know the question, I will go out to Toastmasters International and follow up with them to go through that. So like I say, if you've never judged a science contest before, I would suggest you download this manual. It's very handy, and if you have any questions about the way it's out there, especially if you have a person who wants to compete in multiple contests or little things like that, if you have questions, come back to me and we'll do it. One of the things is that for last year I was doing this at the training at this time of year, and a question came up. What happens if the tiebreaker judge doesn't fill out all their choices or sign their ballot? So I was looking at this and I go, I have no idea. And it was Larry, Quinn, and Diane. They're like, we don't know. So I contacted Toastmasters International. You know what their response was to me? That's a good question. No one ever asked that before. But if that ever happens, if you're the chief judge, you go find your tiebreaker judge and you bring them and tell them to fill out their form. To do it, because you can't disqualify it, especially the only time you're going to know that if that person, if we need that, is that, oh, we have a tie going on and we're looking at your form and you did not fill this out correctly. So that's one thing I always do, like especially for one of the contests, I'll make sure that I watch who my tiebreaker judge is. I'll make sure they sign their form and I'll tell them that you have to fill it out 1 through 10. So I always look for somebody who's a more seasoned person for your tiebreaker judge. Questions so far? So what you're doing is when you're judging the ballot, when you that form here, you basically will have these 10 slots right here. So what you do here is for the number of speakers you have, for a division contest, you'll have up to 10. A club contest, you might have 1 or 2 or 3. Area contests, 3, 4, 5. What you do is you fill out their names starting with first, second, third, the speaking order it is. Usually what I'll do is I'll add up their points here, total it off at the bottom, and then fold it over, and I keep going up to do it. And this was one thing we talked about at the spring contest last year, is that you can fill out your points, and you can have speaker A can have like 97 points, and speaker C had 96. But looking at it, speaker C in your mind when you're filling out your winner did better. You don't necessarily have to follow your guideline of who you gave scores to. It's up to you, because you're picking out of all the people, you're picking the winner for that contest there. Are there any questions?
Quick question. When you have your briefing of judges,
Yep.
Does the tiebreaker judge attend the briefing?
No, the tiebreaker judge is only known to the chief judge. And good thing you can always tell who the tiebreaker judge is, because this is like where the chief judge stands around with after the contest. And that's one thing, they say that judging is supposed to be discreet. You're not supposed to know who's doing it. When you're at a contest, you can tell who the judges are. But the only problem is that when you're at the district level, it's kind of hard to keep track of your judges and the 200 and something people that are there. So. You technically can't start the contest until they're back. Question about the ballots. And like I say, when you turn it in, after you're done, you write down your first, second, and third choices of me. Tear out the bottom portion of the ballot. You'll either have an envelope to put it in, or just fold it over however it is, and you'll give it to the ballot counter who will be looking under there. You take the top piece, throw it away. Another good thing I like to do is, what I'll do is before each contest is I'll go through, for all the judges, I will cut the bottom piece off, except for probably like maybe a 1/4 of an inch. That way I'll keep it together, and that way they're not, in the contest, rip. So, most people, what they'll do is they'll rip it off anyway and then go back to it the ballot afterwards. And then remember, your judges go to the back. Avoid a bias in your selecting your winner. Pick the person who actually did the best, not who you think should have done the best. do not care about the timing of the speeches. If the person goes over, you should not be concerned about the timing. We got 2 timers taking care of that, and the chief judge will take care of any disqualifications due to time. And most importantly, know the contest rules. If you're going to be asked to be a judge, get the question. Finish your comment. If you're going to ask me a judge, the first thing the judge is going to do in the briefing, have you had a chance to go through the rules? Do you have any questions? And that way, if you don't know it, that's when you ask, and that's when the judge will ask, you know, do it to make sure that you're qualified and you're ready to do it. You're able to do it. Question?
So, does the chief judge ever say so-and-so is disqualified for time? Or does that ever get communicated to them?
It will not be, well, it's a very good question. I've been in contests where you've had the disqualification. So what will happen is, during the brief afterwards, during the counting of the ballots, we'll see that there's a disqualification for time. So what will happen is, when I take the ballots back, or the winning certificate, the winning order back to the contestant chair, which would probably be Larry this year, I will go, there was 1 disqualification for time. I won't say anything other than that. And it'll only be the people that are in the room at the ballot counters. They will know who the person, or they will probably know who the person was that was disqualified. We do not tell the person who was disqualified that they were, you know, you just don't say anything. You keep that to yourself. And it's really kind of hard when you're talking to a person where, you know, you won that contest. If you wouldn't have gone that 5 seconds over, you know, you're just sitting there going, yeah, I don't know how you did. I mean, it was, you get a great speech, but I don't know who the person was. I can't tell you, well, I can't tell you who was disqualified, even though they probably know who it is, but you keep that to yourself. I mean,
We still have to make sure that the ballots are printed on 1 sheet of paper. We can't have 2.
Yes, you should put it on 1 sheet of paper. Another thing is, I just remember that when you're a judge, you cannot be contestant cannot be a member of the club. You cannot be a member with the contestant competing. The only way that this could be different would be in an area contest, where you probably, if that's the case, since the area what you want to do is you want to make sure you have clubs contests, you know, judges from every different club to offset that. And Larry, you have a question?
In regards to the ballots and going back and forth of whether it has to be 1 sheet or not, there's no requirement that it has to be front and back on 1 sheet. If you have a sheet with the ballot on one side, and on the second page it's the criteria, and it's like stapled together, as long as that is officially given to the judge so that they have both copies, it should be fine. I can't find any rule in there where it has to be front and back.
And it's so much easier for a judge to have on 2 pages.
Yeah.
So
Then you're not flipping constantly.
as long as you, I think as long as you have it preferably stapled together, so you're physically giving them the stapled copy, then you should be fine.
Thank you, Larry. I just went over what we discussed last time. So, and the thing about it is, if you know you're going to be a judge, you can always bring yourself a copy because you won the contest, and it's all free on the TI website.
Forgive me, friends, asking again another question. So this has spaces for up to 10 contestants.
Yes.
So each judge, chief judge, and each of the individual judges, or 5 individual judges, whatever, gets 1 of these, or they get 1 with the individualized for each.
Every judge will get their own copy. The chief judge, hey, the chief judges, you don't do anything except make sure that the you're just there to make sure the contest is fair. You don't do any fill out. The chief judge does not fill out any report.
So if I'm a judge, I'm gonna have 1 of these, I'm gonna pencil it right in the name of myself, right? And I'm gonna hand 1 sheet in.
You're going to hand the bottom of the sheet in.
Okay, I can do all the math on my own.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, a good thing to do is, another good thing to do would be, you know, if this one here is 15 points, What I'll do, okay, the guy got, let's say the person got 14 points, so I'll do a -1 there. For me, it's easier to do the smaller portion and take away kind of the reverse thing.
You lost it completely. What's a -1?
Okay, so this thing here, there's out of the total thing there, you can get, the person can get 15 points.
I get you now.
So that would be
So
14.
if I scored on 14, I just do minus.
Yeah, it's-
subtract from 100. But at the last speech contest, the electronic, I was announced here. I was a ballot counter. But frankly, I don't remember seeing this sheet.
Yeah, you should only see, this should be torn off, and you should only see first, second, third place there. So first would be 3 points.
Each individual judge does his own math,
Yes, it turns in the bottom piece.
right? Throws away the top.
Like I said, that normally
So
when I
there is
would,
no ballot count.
yeah, there is. Because we're gonna go off this thing here. We're going after first place, person gets 3 points, second place, 2 points, and
Oh,
one.
I get it. But the person, the judge, should be math challenged.
Yep.
And it's gonna be questioned. Where?
To tell you the truth, I do not care what you do up the top there. I'm only concerned about the bottom. I just want the name of the first, second, and third person. It's up to you as a judge to make sure that you follow the criteria to get the correct point. This is just a guideline for to help you pick that person.
Okay, that's fine. So the chief judge cannot be a member of the home clubs.
The chief judge can be a member of any club. The chief judge is not doing anything except making sure that the contest is down.
So the individual judges have to be from outside. They can't belong to one of the same club as one of the speakers.
So what I'm doing is when I'm looking for when I'm doing the contest, I will look at Harold. Harold, do you want to be a judge? Yeah, that'd be good. And quick question: is anybody from your club competing? Oh yeah, Sally's competing for my club. So I go, Harold, thanks. I'm not going to use you because you have a conflict of interest in there. At the club level, you can do that because you're having the club. Everyone's in your club doing that. The area, you're probably running the same type of thing, but what you want to do in that case, you want to make sure that if there's 4 out of the 5 clubs competing in your area, that you have a judge from each of the 4 clubs that are competing. Right. The 5th, if you can get the 5th judge, that would be perfect.
Right. So it's okay for to have one and only one from the same club. In fact,
yeah.
That's preferable. Right, right.
Yeah.
That's the,
So, all right, another one way to because I want to get on your topics. And the most important thing is do not reveal the score and what the person got it. Yeah. So when you're the chief judge, so basically the chief judge is at an area contest, it would be a minimum of 5 judges or how many people are in the area. Division is 7 or whatever. So we have 10 districts completing in our district convention, so we'd have to have up to 10 judges. You have 2 timers, 3 ballot counters, and so basically, at the area contest, your judges should be in good standing, which means they should have at least 6 speeches done in the Toastmasters manual. What I'll do is at the cases, especially when it comes to the district level, I'll know that how many judges have that criteria, and usually if you're picking somebody who's an ETF, you know they already have that. And the tiebreaker judge is only known to the chief judge themselves. As I say this before, Toastmasters TI has done a great job of providing everything for free. You can download it. I did not put the URL there. This is Toastmasters International. Let's go out there and search for it. Let's go for humorous contest, and it will pop up. Okay, so basically, what you do when it comes to the chief judge at the contest briefing, what you're going to do is first you're going to review the timing briefing. You bring the timers in and you tell them what to begin with. So it's basically like how anything for any club, what it is. It's the first time somebody makes a motion to where you think they're engaging the audience for their speech. Is when you start start timing. So what it'll be is if the contestant is disqualified due to time, what I'll do is tell them to put an asterisk by the name of the person who's disqualified. And that way I will know right away who that is. Then the counters, basically what the counter person is that you'll have 3 counters in there. And what you want them to do is, first thing you're going to say is, oh, sorry.
Question about timers. Sure. If someone has a PowerPoint presentation, does the timing start when the PowerPoint presentation is shown or when the person starts?
The person can start the PowerPoint piece up there, but if they're kind of up, they're not really engaging the audience. It's when they engage the audience. If the PowerPoint comes up and the person is, it's a judgment to you how you do it. If the person engages right away from the PowerPoint, I'd start it then. But if the PowerPoint comes up and if the person is kind of like here, and then engage it, I would do it when they make the first engagement out to the people. Any questions or anything else, please? Okay. So then what we'll do is basically for the ballot counters, you first want them to know who the judges are, so they're familiar with them, and then what you want to do is then work with them to divide up and how they're going to pick up the ballots. Tell them afterwards what you're going to do is we're going to come back to this room and we're going to go from here. Basically what we're going to do is that you're going to have 3 ballot counters. So what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 ballot counters reading their time, reading the scores, and 1 ballot counter writing it down. You switch it around. After that, they're done. I'll usually go through the process 3 times just to make sure that it all comes out the same, just to be on the safe side. So you know what I'm doing is like I'm saying is that you're having Judge A, you're having 2 people giving the scores from the ballots, making sure that everything's in line. So we're basically checking the process 3 times so that we know we have the correct winner, that no one made a mistake in their mathematics, because it's very easy to, especially when you're doing, okay, so the first place is that 3 points, and second place is that 2, or you don't believe how those are the ones that throw you off the most. It's a simple math there, so you got to make sure that you check that very quickly. And then some Vegas rules. Tell everybody what happens in this room stays in this room. You guys know who the winner is. I mean, like I say, if we went to the tiebreaker judge, you know who that is. And if somebody's disqualified, you know who the person is. So you just don't want to go spread that out. When you get back to this, make sure when your judge is reading, the first thing you want to do is go through the judge's code of ethics. Then verify the eligibility of each contest. So what I'll do is last year I was working with Larry and we get the contestants, then I would go out to TI and validate that each of the contestants was in the club and member of Good Standing and Toastmasters. I could always do that the same with the judges. And like I say, if you don't do it at your contest, it's going to be done at all contests, because we're going to make sure that the people that are competing are competing. And it's just kind of going to tell you this. I know we get tied to the end of my presentation. I have this. I'm going to send this out to Diane, so I will put out on the website. If you have any questions, you can always get back to me about it. And at this time, I'll just take a couple questions and I'll turn it back over to Larry.
Now, what's the number for a club in good standing again? How many members?
8.
Okay. Thank you.
With the timers, do we hand out 2 timer sheets or just 1?
2 timer sheets, 1 to each timer. They'll each, that way, that reason we're having 2 timer sheets is because I've been in contests before where your main timer's clock screws up. So then you're going to go from the secondary timer. So basically, you're just writing through there. So each timer will fill out their own sheet, and then they'll fill it. They'll hand it to the chief judge afterwards.
So we need 2 stopwatches.
You need 2 stopwatches, yes. Or these things, phones nowadays, they have good time. They have good times. Any other questions?
On speaker eligibility, we have a speaker who's a member of multiple clubs. They have to be eligible to all the clubs they belong to, or just the club that they're competing?
Just the club they're competing in. And if the speaker, once competes, has to be in the club that they won the contest in, or if the club doesn't have a contest, and if the club is in good standing, they can appoint the person they want to go to next level without a contest. But if the club holds a contest and their contestants cannot make it, they can't appoint anybody to it. Does that make sense?
Is it one contestant per club, or is there some rule that you're allowed to send to?
You can compete in multiple clubs, but when you advance to the next level, you can only go in one area.
I think he was meaning each club sending two.
Can each club send two if you have less than 20 clubs?
Or less.
Yeah, more or less you can do that to the area contest, but they will, after the area, it will not go to the state.
I'm not sure if this has ever happened before, but if you have two timers and one timer has a speech at 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and the other one is 7:31, what one would you take?
I would probably go 7.3, 30. No, I would say whoever my first chief timer was, I would do that, or I just kind of go with that. And Rob?
My comment is that the rule book says that that can be considered a timing device fault, so they get a 30 seconds leeway. So with that in mind, I will go with in the benefit of the contestant and give 7:30.
I probably would do that too, just do the same thing, if the whole thing there. And to tell you the truth, if you're the timer, should probably just, if you both had 7:31, then yeah, that is an actual disqualification. But I would go with okay, we got one person who says it's 7:30, just to say that. Anything else? All right, well, thank you for your time. I hope this is helpful. And like I say, any questions, I'm in there. You can find me in the directory. And I will get back to you.